Welcome back to Excel Civils Academy, and today will be the second session in the series of 5 short orientation sessions that we had planned for the subject history. And if you all can recollect from the previous session, I had told that out of these 5 orientation sessions, the first one, which I have already done, was dedicated to the overall subject of history, whereas the remaining 4, I said, we will be dealing with the components, individual components of the subject. And if you can recollect, how many components did we have for history? We had 6 components, of which we have world history and Indian history. In Indian history, we have 5 components and world history is one of it. So altogether we'll have 6 components, right? And in this session, we will be doing with the world history component. Okay. But then, before I go into the session, one small suggestion will be that when you get to see all the 5 sessions, prefer to see them in a sequential order so that you will really understand one after the other. Otherwise, if you see them in a jumbled order, you will not be able to make a complete sense of what is being told there. Fine. So let us get started with the today's session, that is on world history. Fine. Now in the last class I also said that yes, world history is there for the syllabus, but do you think we need to study world history in as much depth as we need to study Indian history? Not necessary. Indian history we will study in depth, but world history will be more of a superficial study. Why? If you look at the syllabus, it's clearly mentioning that we have world history not from the very beginning, but since the 18th century, that is somewhere around from the 1700 AD. From this year, we'll have to really study world history. And fortunately, I also said that world history is available only for mains examination. You do not have it for preliminary. So what does this mean? It means that you really need not go and memorize many things, or there is very little of facts that you need to remember. What we need to really focus is on the conceptual and the story part of the course instead of going into facts. Lucky because it's not there for pre. Okay. Now, if you see that the syllabus starts from 18th century, but I'll ask you a small question. Like, is it really possible for us to understand something from somewhere roughly in between? Suppose you take a movie and you all of a sudden switch it on and see from half of that movie. Obviously, it will be a bit difficult for us to understand because we do not know what has happened before that half. So, although the syllabus starts from 18th century, in the classroom course, what we will be doing is we will have a brief understanding of the background for what has happened before the 18th century. In the regular classroom course, you will find that world history, the entire component, I will be taking somewhere around 35 to 40 hours to finish it off. And for the first 5 hours, I will be spending on what has happened before 18th century, because do you have this in the syllabus? You don't have it in the syllabus. But still, why are we spending 4 to 5 hours on that? Because that will give you a kind of a strong foundation for understanding what is there in the syllabus. Okay. So, and once I finish doing this background, then we start getting into the syllabus portion. Now, if you again look at from the syllabus part, that is starting from 1700 AD, how many years we need to study? Again, we need not study till 2022. We will actually have to study somewhere around till 1991. And how many years is this? Not a small time. So almost 300 years you need to study. But then again, no need to worry. As I said, if you remember from the previous class, will we study all events? What happened in this? Definitely no. We will study certain very important events, very important concepts and important people. Okay. So there will be some focus areas that we will look into. And what are those focus areas? If you look at the syllabus, you will really find 3 focus areas, which are like some ideologies, like liberalism. Most of these terms you might have even heard, some of you. Although you may not know much about them, at least you might have come across this. Capitalism, socialism, communism, continuing, nationalism, imperialism, colonialism, fascism, etc. So you can see these isms, all are liberalism, capitalism, socialism. You will find so many isms are here. We will have to deal with each of them in detail, which we will see in the classroom course. Next, there are some important revolutions that we all need to study. What do you mean by a revolution? What is the importance of a revolution? Simply is that a revolution is something, a very, very great change. Okay. So that something has become so different from the previous stage and a completely new world has been created. For example, you might have seen this example of a caterpillar. How does this thing kind of metamorphose itself into a butterfly? So such kind of events which have completely shaken the world are generally called as revolutions, and in our syllabus we will be studying about a few of them, like Industrial Revolution, the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the Russian Revolution. All of these 4 revolutions we will be studying as part of your syllabus. And then another very important focus area for us will be wars. Right now you can see Russia and Ukraine on a war, yes or no? Even in 2022 we are able to see a war happening in front of us. Imagine, a lot of wars would have happened before as well. Yes. And in fact, in this context, Russia-Ukraine context, you might have heard the word being used, World War III, which means already 2 world wars have already been finished. So we will be studying about those wars like the World War I, the World War II, and another interesting war that we will see as the Cold War. Fine. Very strictly speaking, if you can have a hold on all these events, on all these processes, definitely you will be doing quite decent in your examination, because if you pick up any of the previous world history question papers, most of the questions you will find them relating to these focus areas itself. Okay, it doesn't mean that we will read only focus areas. These areas we will study with a greater depth. All the while there will be some other processes and events which will also be doing more superficially in the classroom course. As I said, this is just an orientation class, trying to give you all a glimpse as to what you will get in this subject. And towards the end of the session, I will also be giving a list of books that you will need to start referring to if you wish to get a grip on the subject world history. Let me go one more step into the subject. Right now, what I will do is I will draw a very rough world map. Although in the classroom we will have the projectors and maps and all these things will be shown. So just to save time, I am using a very rough world map. Consider this to be North America, this is South America, Europe, Africa, this is Asia, this is our country India, China and Australia. Okay, a very, very rough map. Now, a question for you all straight. Of all the countries we have on the globe today, how many roughly we have? 200 countries. Which of these countries are most economically developed and technologically advanced? All of you know that first you will vote for a country in North America, that is the US. No doubt it is the most powerful country in the earth today. Next, you will also find something like Canada, that is also a developed country, and other countries you will find will be Britain, France, Germany, and all these countries. Particularly, where are these countries? In which continent do you find them? You find them, most of these countries, concentrated in the European region, like France, Germany, Britain, and all these countries are all developed countries. Now, what is the language spoken in USA and Canada? Main languages are, in US it is English, and in Canada it is English and French. Now, can you see that even these countries which seem to be here, actually it is not, these countries were not developed by the people living there. These countries were developed by the people who have migrated there from Europe. And the same way, the other developed countries in the world are Australia and the New Zealand. Again, what is the language speaking here? It is the English language, clearly showing you that it is the British people, the English speaking people who have come down and settled down here, and they have developed Australia. So one thing is very clear, is what was the continent on which this development actually started up? So clearly it was Europe. That is, the European countries started undergoing a process called modernization. But what about the other continents and countries like India and China? Even today, as you will know, we all are developing countries. They are all, as you will see, they are all developed countries. Yes or no? You only ask yourself, is India developed? No, we still call ourselves as developing. Are they developed? Yes, they are developed. Now the question I put to you is, why these countries only developed? Why didn't we develop at that time? And when did these countries develop? Why did they develop, and how did they develop? I hope you are able to understand why UPSC has given the world history syllabus in the UPSC in the examination. Is because we may learn some lessons from how these people have developed, so that same things, if we can to some extent we can replicate in India, we can also be a developed country. Again, it's not to suggest that everything on this side is very, very good. We should learn only what is suitable for us and what is good. We don't simply copy whatever is there. That's not the meaning here. Okay, but still, is there something that we can learn? Yes, definitely. Okay, so the first aspect that we are generally going to study in the world history will be that modernization of Europe. How did European countries become modernized? How and when? You will see, as part of the syllabus, you will understand in the classroom that there are several events, and the most important event that started changing Europe will be studied in your classroom course as Renaissance. Renaissance. What is it and all, I am not really discussing here. But then with this process, you will see, compared to the rest of the world, Europe has started undergoing some changes, and as a result of these events and the changes, you will find that new economic and political systems start emerging in Europe. Why? Some changes are happening, so the old will go away and the new will come. That's what was happening here. And the new economic system that you will find in Europe is called capitalism. And out of capitalism, we got what we call industrial revolution. But these new systems which came up, they had a lot of problems. So against these capitalism and industrial revolution, another two ideologies started coming up, socialism and communism. Okay, so you can see that just a few minutes ago I had listed down these isms, right, these revolutions. Now what am I really doing? I am trying to connect them and put it in an order. So capitalism, socialism and communism, you can clearly see. Why did socialism and communism come up? Because there were some problems in capitalism. Where did industrial revolution come from? Industrial revolution came from capitalism. Okay. And what happened in the political system? Even here the political system started changing because of several revolutions like the American Revolution and the French Revolution, after which you will be seeing that the new political system that started emerging in the Europe and Americas was the democracy which we have today. Most of the countries in the world are democracies where we have governments elected by people, we have constitutions controlling these rulers and all these things. But imagine before all these American Revolution and French Revolution, what do you think the world would have been? The world had in those times kings and kingdoms, empires and emperors. Okay. So we really did not have democracies and all. But because of these changes, the new political systems like democracy came from American Revolution and French Revolution. Okay, whatever it is, you can see that Europe has started becoming modernized. Yes. Now, will that have, okay, before I go into second point, when Europe is becoming modernized, what about the rest of the world? They are still living in a pre-modern mindset. But so entire world is like this and Europe is a bit rising. You can clearly see. Why? We just now discussed. Now don't you think this will have an impact on the other continents or no? Definitely. What is that? The second aspect that we can see here will be the domination of European countries over the rest of the world. Yes or no? Once Europe has become modernized, will they start dominating all these areas? Yes, definitely. And that's what really happened when you see India also came under the domination of European country or no? Yes, that is Britain. British people ruled India. Where is Britain? Britain is in Europe. So you can clearly see these European countries started dominating the rest of the world. Why are they dominating? Because they became modernized, economically and technologically more advanced than all other people. So they were dominating the entire world. And this process of domination is generally called as imperialism and colonialism. So another two isms from that list I have added down here. Okay. But now, how long will Europe dominate the entire world? Naturally, can I say these countries who are being dominated by Europe will try to revolt against Europe or no? Yes. And as you will see, yes, Britain ruled India for 200 years. But is Britain ruling India today also? No, we have become free. So which means when European countries were dominating the rest of the world, these countries which are being dominated would have revolted or no? Yes, definitely. So that will be the third aspect that you will see in the world history. Like the third will be the revolt by the rest of the world against European domination. Against European domination. Yes, and this process, which I have not written down in the list, is generally called as decolonization. That is, they controlled us through the process of colonialism and we got rid of them through the process of decolonization. But when you try to understand that, yes, did this decolonization process happen or no? It happened and we got rid of these people, European people. But still, if you understand the present world situation, you will understand that yes, the European political domination may have ended, but still the economic and cultural domination of Europe has not ended completely. It is still going on. Look at the language in which I am speaking to you all now. It is English. Is it our mother tongue? No, it is not our mother tongue. Where was this English language born? It was in Britain, in Europe. But then why are we still using English language? So you can clearly see, yes, British may not be here today, but their culture, a lot of their culture and their economic domination is still continuing. This is something what you call as neo-colonialism. That is same colonialism in a different form. Again, I am just giving an introduction to these words, not to frighten you with them, but then all of these things will be dealt in the regular classroom course. And then that brings us to the last aspect of the world history, that is the fourth point. Now, European countries like Britain, France, Germany, all of these countries are trying to dominate the rest of the world, no? And in this process, the European countries were fighting among themselves. Yes. So that Britain and France are fighting against each other to become the world master. And again then Germany comes up. So naturally there was a rivalry among European countries. For world supremacy. And now I hope you already have taken a guess as to what kind of this rivalry will lead to war. What? Naturally, over a period of time when tensions keep building, they will go on big wars, and those are those, which one? The World War I, World War II, and then though all not completely a European phenomena, when America also gets included, you will find that it was a Cold War. Fine. So in this way, if you'll observe world history, it's really interesting and we'll learn a lot from all these events, and we can understand that how the present day world is, because that's how the past was. Because it was like that, today the world is like this. And I hope you all can also clearly see that if you study all of these things, you will be able to better understand the present day international relations and Indian foreign policy. All of these aspects will become more easy because you already have a background from the world history. Fine? And then that brings me to the last aspect of this video, that is the books you need to refer for world history. Kindly note them down. Books. There are so many books in the market. Please do not burden yourself. I will give you the basic books. Again, after which in the classroom you will be given some handouts. I will give you some extra references and all. But I really don't want to burden you people. So I will be sticking myself to the most important standard books, that is the NCERTs. And here you have an author by name Arjun Dev. And his books names are The Story of Civilization, and you will get 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2. The volume 1 will be the 9th class book and the volume 2 will be the 10th class book. And you need not study everything in this book. Why? Because the syllabus is starting from 18th century. So in this book you really need to read about chapters 6 to 8, 6, 7 and 8. And then this book is a continuation of the previous volume. So you will need to read from chapters 9 to 13. 9 to 13. And if you can just have a look at the index of these books, index of these books, you will find the story which I have told you. So that again, all of these things will be dealt in depth in your regular classroom with a focus, clear cut focus on how the questions are being asked in the examination and how we need to present these ideas in a logical, ordered manner in a limited space and limited time. Fine. That's it for this session, and I'll soon catch you up with you guys in the next session. Thank you.